Welcome to the Dirt World Podcast. I'm Jason Richmond, a fourth-generation road builder who started on a shovel and now serves as the Chief Operating Officer at BuildWid. This podcast digs into infrastructure construction world, exploring the challenges, successes, and strategies that shape exceptional leadership and builds a thriving workforce. Tyler Robertson is the founder and CEO of Diesel Laptops, an industry provider of diagnostic products, services, and parts and repair information for commercial trucks, construction, agriculture, off-highway, marine, and automotive markets. Before Diesel Laptops was founded in 2014, Robertson worked for Carolina International Trucks as a service manager, parts manager, and then IT/marketing. With an IT background and over 15 years of experience working at commercial truck dealerships, Robertson has created a unique company that provides efficient solutions to repair facilities across the U.S. Robertson is a graduate of the College of St. Scholastica and Rochester Institute of Technology. Tyler, welcome to the Dirt World Podcast. Sorry, I got a little tongue twisted.
Well, and that's okay. And to clarify too, I actually got kicked out of the first college because I learned that if you don't go to class, you fail your courses and they kick you out. So I had to finish up at St. Scholastica. But all the things we learn in life as we progress in age. So thank you very much for having me come on the podcast. I look forward to having a conversation with you here.
Absolutely. Where are you calling from today? Let's start with that.
Yeah, so I grew up in northern Minnesota. Like you mentioned, you're fourth generation with a shovel. My dad's a third generation owner of a ready mix and concrete company and gravel pit operations. So I've been around commercial trucks and earth moving equipment. I mean, I was driving earth moving equipment before I could drive a car, right? So that's where I started. But I ended up moving down here to South Carolina, about 20 years ago now. So right in the heart of South Carolina, the Midlands area, Columbia, South Carolina is where we call home and where our corporate headquarters are here at Diesel Laptops.
That's fantastic. So family still in the business?
They are. It's my dad. He had three brothers. They bought one of them out. So they're down to three owners. Very similar thing that goes along a lot in the industry is they are trying to figure out now how to get out. They have their kids working for them. They want to give it to their kids, but they want to get money. Like, how do you do this? So talking about like succession planning was not a strong suit of my family ever. And it's kind of coming back to bite them now. And they're trying to figure it out. And, I don't know if they sell to their kids or they sell to a bigger company or what they do. They're getting some big offers out there from some people in that ready mix and gravel pit operation business. They got a great business going on up there. They employ a lot of people. They provided 3 generations of members, but not only my family, but like we have friends and he has friends that have worked for them up there for years and employees that have worked for him for 30, 40 years. So I grew up working there, man. I love that business. And I think that really kind of got my life headed down this whole path to what do we do here today at Diesel Laptops.
Yeah, so it sounds like entrepreneurialism and innovation and running business is in your blood, literally. What got you excited about starting Diesel Laptops, and give us the kind of the journey of how that started?
Yeah, man, I started it for beer money. So I'm working for someone else, right? I'm a service manager. I'm a parts manager. And when anyone works in one space for a while, you start to see all the problems that occur. And what happened in the commercial truck world, and this is going back, 10 years ago now, even longer, I was a service manager. And people would come into the store all the time, be like, hey, my check engine light's on. Can you guys look at it? Be like, sure. Here, I'll tell you what, we can look at it. We're booked up 2 weeks. We'll let you know as soon as we get it in the shop. And I'm like, I came into this facility and I'm like, man, that's not good customer service. Telling the guy 2 weeks just to look at his check engine light. Maybe it's nothing. So why don't either myself or my foreman or my service rider, why don't we bring our laptop out to the truck? Let's hook up to it while the customer's there and just do a quick triage. Maybe it's simple. Maybe he can just like come back next week when we have availability and schedule it in. Or maybe it is serious. He's going to blow his engine soon. Let's leave it here and get on it. And, what I learned is you start doing that for people. And inevitably they ask like, well, how do I buy that computer that you guys just had? Because I don't even want to have to come here. I can do that myself. And we're like, you can't have it. We're the dealership. Only we can have the software. That's why we exist, right? We're the dealership for this area. We have our territory. Nobody else gets this. And very anti-right to repair, but that was the mindset then. And then what happened is 2008 happened. I was going to get promoted to go run the entire store. They asked me to go be the parts manager. This is a parts department doing $1 million a month in commercial truck parts, which is quite large by commercial truck standards. And 2008 happened. The guy that was going to retire that ran the store said, "Man, I'm sorry. All my money was in the stock market. It was ripping and roaring. I just lost 40% of it. I can't retire." And I'm like, "Well, that sucks for me because I don't want to be a parts manager. Like, I don't, what do I do now?" And I wasn't sure, but luckily the IT director he retired and the marketing manager quit. So I called the owner up and I was like, "Look, I know you think I'm a service manager. I know you think maybe I'm a parts manager. I guarantee you I'm way better at this marketing and IT thing than I'll ever be at what I do in parts and service. Why don't you let me take both jobs? You only have to pay one salary, not two. And I'll do this thing for you." And he's like, "That's cool, but you got to relocate down here to the headquarters and move down here." So I had a 1-year-old at the time, and we moved down about 150 miles south of where we were and went to go work for the mother headquarters ship of Carolina International Trucks, which will get me to Columbia. So, that's kind of how I got there. But what happened is when I became parts manager, you report to someone different inside the company. So same, just to put in perspective, same rooftop, service reports to somebody else. I report in parts to another person. In service, nobody can have the software. In parts, they're like, if you can mark it up and make money, we don't care what you sell. So I started selling software in the parts department because I knew how to get the software. I knew how to install it. I knew how to support it. But what happened is we were supporting so many customers, and I'm trying to be a parts manager, but now I am actually supporting and installing licensing software and helping people connect to vehicles. I'm like, this is a time suck. So I actually approached my company and said, "I got an idea. This is gonna be good for me and good for you. I'm gonna buy the hardware from you guys, the software license. I'm gonna buy a laptop off the internet, go to Best Buy. On my spare time at home, I'll put it all together and I'll resell you the complete kit back to this company, and you can mark it up and sell it again. You'll make profit twice. The kit will be ready to go. I don't have to deal with installs and deal with all these things." And my first customer was my own employer. Is how Diesel Laptops got started. And then it just went from there. eBay was the first place we went, and then websites, and all the things happened after that. But yeah, it's pretty cool to have your first customer be your actual employer in hindsight.
That's an incredible story. And yeah, super innovative on your part to think about packaging that up and redeploying it. I mean, you're cutting down on time and efficiency. And I mean, man, that's just super smart.
This was the problem is people that run shops, they're, 40, 50, 60-year-old dudes typically. They have a strong mechanical background. They used to be a technician, and now they're running an operation, and they don't know how to install software, configure Bluetooth drivers, get software licenses. If I plug it in, hit connect, and it doesn't connect, I don't know what to do. Like that's not their skill set. So I just stepped in and said, "Well, I'll take all that away, and we'll just make you a kit ready to go out of the box. Hit the connect button, it'll connect, and I'll support you." But it quickly led to other problems. And this is how Diesel Laptops has grown. It's just been us listening to customers saying, "Well, what problem do you have?" And sometimes you don't even have to ask because you get the phone calls and questions. And the number one thing we got after I did the kit was, "Well, I got these codes. What do I do? Like, your tool told me what's wrong. I still don't know how to fix it." This is when I'm working part-time for someone else. And I used to answer those calls. I was a service manager. I knew how to look the codes up. I knew how to walk them through. I could tell them what to do. And again, you do that one time for someone, and every time they have a fault code now, they call you on the phone. And I'm like, okay, I can't do my normal job and sit here and do diesel tech support over the internet and phone calls. And it was going to be like so many phone calls all day, all night, trying to help people. And I had the bright idea one day. I'm like, what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a piece of software that has every single fault code that's ever existed, and it's just going to tell you how to fix it. And I remember talking to some of my technicians in the shop at the time, and I'm like, "I'm going to build this thing. Like, how many fault codes do you think there are?" And they're like, "I don't know, like a billion." I'm like, I need to document every fault code that's ever existed for every commercial truck, for every engine, transmission, cab, ABS. And they're like, "That's impossible." And it wasn't impossible. It took me like a year and a half doing it like by myself, part-time, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, just documenting fault
Wow.
codes. But then I was able to give people a product that was better than everybody else. I'm like, well, now this product will hook up and connect to everything, and it'll tell you how to fix the codes. And we quickly learned that it started us down that journey of learning, what are we really in the business of doing here? And we're not really in the business of selling diagnostic tools. That's not really what we're doing. We're in something much bigger than that. So it just started on that journey of helping people really give them all the resources they need to fix that thing that's in front of them today that's causing someone some problems and costing them some money.
That's absolutely fantastic. Doing the Dirt World podcast, talking to many owners and leaders, you hear this, the constant is problem solution. We listened to the customer, we identified the problem, we found a solution, and we solved it. As I was doing the research online, it's kind of interesting, and I want to make sure that our listeners fully understand Diesel Laptops. Many of them may already know you because you're so popular on social and LinkedIn. Loved your post, by the way, today. But I was looking at Diesel Laptops, Diesel repair, Diesel parts, and Diesel training. So lots of different parts of your business there. Let's kind of walk through each one of them and how this works.
So this is going to go back to something that I think your audience will resonate with. Like, you can hand a guy a new $1 million crane to go operate. If he's never operated it before, it does no good. You just wasted $1 million on that piece of equipment or tool that you gave the guy. It's like that with pretty much anything, right? If I hand you a diesel laptop tool and you've never actually done any diesel technician work before, don't know how to use it, you're not going to fix anything more than before. And that's the big fallacy. A lot of people that buy these things, they think, oh, I just bought my magic bullet. I now have a tool that will fix anything in front of me. It will, but you're missing some critical pieces of the puzzle. So one I just talked about, I can give you the world's most advanced diagnostic tools, and they'll tell you what's wrong all day long. They won't tell you how to fix it. They won't give you a wiring diagram. They won't give you step-by-step repair. They won't give you estimated repair times. They won't give you pinouts. They won't give you remove and replace instructions, torque specs, all these other pieces of information. So diesel repair is what we call our Wikipedia of repair information. So when customers have our diagnostic tool, they can easily go from the tool, and this works with our free tools up to our $10,000 tools. It works with all of them. And they can one click or one tap, depending on what device they're using. And they can go from that fault code right into repair information and really start digging down into like, okay, how do I fix this thing? So that was number one thing that we had to build. The other piece that came right after the heels of that was they needed assistance. So you'd be amazed, or maybe you would be, how many people buy a $10,000 tool and then they call in and they say, well, how do I turn it on? And I'm like, okay, you are a long ways away from using that thing efficiently and effectively to do that thing that's in front of you. So we opened a call center. And at first it was just IT people to make sure, hey, it's Windows. Let's face it, Windows has updates and issues and whatever. But we have Bluetooth connectivity. We have physical cables we got to connect between devices. We have software we have to install and update. And then we have to connect the vehicle. And our IT people can handle that. But what really happened quickly is people needed assistance. They're like, man, I've never worked on this Yanmar before. What am I doing? Or I got 8 codes. What do I do? Or I've hooked it up. I got black smoke coming out the exhaust, but I have no codes. What do I do? So we had to add to our tech support staff diesel technicians. So our call center is staffed with ex-diesel technicians. And these are guys that are all highly certified. They have OEM certs typically, ASC certifications, 10 plus years of experience. We have one of them that's stationed as far away as Brazil. But we have them mainly here in the South Carolina area. We do have them spread out through the U.S. And we are an extension of their shop. They can chat with us through the tool. They can call us. They can email us. And our guys are going to help them over the phone, fix what they got going on. We'll remote into the tool. We'll use the cameras on the tool to see what they see. And we're there to like be a teacher, not just someone to go show them what to do. So that was a big piece of it. And then the other piece we quickly learned is we do need to be a teacher. We do need to train people on how to do these things. And at first I thought I was getting the software training business. Like, here's my tool I built. Here's where we're sold. Here's the training for it. I can say today, 95% of the training we do has nothing to do with the software we sell, because we quickly learned that there is no continuing education available for the majority of diesel technicians that are out there. And technology is changing fast, not just emission standards, We have electrification. We have robots driving vehicles. We have ADAS systems, all GPS, all kinds of things are going on, which means more computers, more sensors, more wires. So we launched, we have an entire diesel technician training division. And these, again, are ex-diesel technicians. These are like the creme la creme of the diesel technicians that are out there. These are the guys that know what to do and how to do it. And we have both physical courses we do on site and on customers' locations. And we have a full online platform now as well. So we're in the business of being a solution to customers, not a product. And when we go to customers, like, it's really rare we even do a demo of the tool anymore, because it's really not that important what it looks like. It's important what problem it solves and how you're going to use the training, the call center, the repair information. And by the way, now we've connected parts to all this, because you have something broken, you need to buy a part. We now tell people the part numbers to buy to fix these things. So it's just about increasing efficiency. And we're trying to solve a very similar problem you guys are. There's not enough of them. I mean, when I looked the other day, about 2 weeks ago, there was 50,000 open jobs for diesel technicians on Indeed. And not everybody applies on Indeed. And the first job listing I looked at, it was one listing that had 127 openings. So there's probably somewhere in 70,000 open jobs right now for diesel tech. So it all comes down to, let's make it more efficient. Let's go create jobs that way through efficiency. So diesel laptops, we're more than a product here. We're here to help solve their problem and get that piece of equipment going back on the road as quick as possible.
Man, I absolutely love that. Yeah, you're hitting upon some of the numbers from a workforce development standpoint. And, the numbers are real. They say by 2031, 40% of the industry is going to retire. We need over 500,000 new people coming into the industry every year. And whether that's drivers or operators or laborers or diesel technicians, like we need guys and gals and people that have never been in the industry that are interested, whether it's coming from high school or maybe you work in another field or another industry and you've just had this interest of doing something different. It's a great industry to be in. So I'm glad that there are people out there like you that are providing the education, the training, the tools, for them to not only onboard with a great organization, but also to provide them with, what they need to skill up and to be able to serve those customers.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we align so well with what you guys got going on at BuildWit, right? So, I mean, I've met Aaron, I've met Dan, I've been there. I love what you guys, I've been following this story of this company since like day one, right? So and we're involved in Dirt World and all the things with you guys. And so I think where the alignment's so great. So yeah, we're trying to do our part. And I think you're right. Like our industry's been trying to solve the diesel technician shortage for 2 decades. And it's the same speech every time by all these industry leaders that come in. I mean, one of the great ideas they had, I say in air quotes here, was, well, let's build a video game to show people how awesome repairing trucks is. And they built like this iOS and Android game. And when I went and looked like a year later, the thing had less than 500 installs, and it was a shitty game. I'll say it. I don't know if I can swear on the air, but it was horrible. I was like, I couldn't even use it. I was like, this is not even fun. I'm like, I'd rather go play Call of Duty and then go sit here and try to play this thing, right? So for us, what we're trying to do is our solution is, one, let's make the 250,000 diesel technicians more efficient. We can make them all 10% more efficient. That's like creating 25,000 jobs. Let's work on that front of it. But we do need more in the industry, like you said. So one of the things we did is we hired Melissa, the Diesel Queen. She's big on Instagram. She's big on social media, LinkedIn, the platforms. We gave her a podcast show. And she has stories on there every week about people, young, old, all over the world, different races, and their stories and their journeys into this space, because the skilled trades is a great, great lucrative career. And I keep telling people, man, don't go to, I mean, I can go on a rant about student loan debt and universities and 4-year degrees, and how horrible that is for the vast majority of people that go. But at the end of the day, you can go make 6 figures a year pretty easy without taking a 4-year degree. And there are so much opportunities out there and so much free training available and so many programs that are happening out there to facilitate this. And it's not a dirty word. I think it got to be a dirty word the last decade or two, and it's not. And to me, these are the people that make our world move and build everything that we do. I was just at the International Union Operating Engineers. I mean, their facility, and just talking to the different unions and locals and what they do at a local level is just unbelievable. Everyone's trying hard to really encourage people to look at this trade and really understand what you can do and how it can provide you a great career for you, your family, and provide for you a great life. And hopefully that message keeps coming across with the things we're all doing.
Yeah, that's incredible. Was that the one in Texas?
Yeah, that facility. I mean, okay, maybe there's a bigger one
I've been
somewhere,
there.
but
I've been
to
there.
have a training facility that has a 150 room hotel attached to it.
Yeah,
Um,
and a mess hall and a weight room
oh,
and a
an
pool
Olympic length
and
swimming pool, basketball court, gym. I mean,
a couple 100 acres with
yeah, it
every
was like
piece of
250
equipment you
acres.
can
It was just
imagine.
unbelievable. And here's the thing: they kind of opened that right before COVID, and then that kind of slowed it down. When I was there, um, mid August, call it early August, they said they were booked up for the year with people coming in for
Yeah,
training, and they're putting their money where their mouth is, and it's a great program
yeah,
for members of that union across the country. Members can send their members there for free. The whole thing's paid for, right? It's part of their dues and what they all pay for. So it's a great facility. I mean, just the simulators alone. I mean, I think they had a dozen simulators in a room, and we obviously spent some time up there trying to figure out how to run some of that stuff. But it was just a remarkable facility. It's one of those things you really have to see. Pictures do not do justice to the thought and
yeah.
effort and time that went into planning that whole thing out.
Yeah, I think the thing that I was amazed by the entire experience. Chris Trimble and that team is just doing an incredible job out there. But the thing that I loved was the camaraderie that you get. You got people coming from all over the world, to this place. And yeah, you're training indoors and outdoors, but you've got this peer group, this conversation, this learning of what are you doing and what are you doing and how do you do things. And so just that interaction and whatnot was really pretty cool as
Well, you
well.
talk about leadership, right? And one of the amazing things to me there was that hotel staff and the cleaners and the people working in the cafeteria. They weren't. They're all part of it. Like they eat
Yeah.
lunch with you, they hang out with you. They're there, and it. I'll tell you where it really showed was retention. When I talked to one of the gentlemen at the cafeteria, he's like, "Man, like there are so many people that have been here since day one, working in the food service industry, and that's usually an industry where turnover is really rampant. And most of them have been there for the 5 years they've been open and weren't planning on going anywhere anytime soon. So just
Yeah.
seeing it even at that level, the people that are operating and maintaining that thing, and it looks like the same as it was the day it was open. They keep that
Yeah.
thing just unbelievable shape. So, but yeah, you're right.
You know,
Everyone's friendly, wanting to help out, wanting to collaborate, wanting to be better. It all those people have definitely the right heart and right mindset. And for two guys to sit down one day and just on a piece of napkin put enough thought and care enough to actually put something like that together is absolutely amazing. And it just shows you that people do things because they care. And there were some people that really cared a lot to be able to put their head on the chopping block and go forth and push for that. And it was a great thing they did.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we're working really hard on through the dirt world, the summit and just what we're doing here is trying to unite the industry around leadership and workforce development because what we think like there's so many great things that are happening at the local level or at individual levels, but there's just this huge opportunity to really shine a light on those great things that are happening and unite
Yeah.
around this. So just really commend you for what you're doing and all the communications and the training and communicate. I mean, that's what's going to help us attract and hire and train and retain this next generation workforce is companies like yours that are stepping up, taking responsibility, figuring out what can I do to solve the problem, not waiting on somebody else to solve it, but identifying it and figuring out what can I do to really lean into that. So I really just commend you for leaning into that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the unique things about us is like I think a lot of people that aren't here or don't understand how businesses work, they oftentimes think like, oh, a company has an idea for a product, so they do a big survey and do a bunch of spreadsheets for how much revenue they can make off it and what's it going to cost to make it and all these things. We don't do any of that. We just say, hey, let's go build a thing that's going to solve a problem. And if it solves a problem, we'll figure out a way to monetize that. One of the products that we've spent, probably $1 million in labor on is building a free tool to just hook up to anything, commercial truck wise, and read diagnostic codes. And we didn't have a clear path towards how we're going to monetize that. And finally, that path kind of came to light. Emission tampering detection. A lot of people are illegally tampering emissions on commercial trucks. We built a tool just kind of as a pet hobby to see if we could do it. And, we found a way to monetize that now. So a lot of what we do is just go solve people's problems, and that's just any industry. You go solve people's problems, you're gonna make money. Like that, just go solve a problem, take care of the customer, you're gonna be fine. That's really, people overcomplicate it a lot of times, but that's what it comes down to.
Not that I track you on social, but I remember not long ago seeing you did a summit or a meeting or a leadership meeting where you guys kind of sat around the table. I can only imagine that there was some of these types of conversations talking about what's the customer saying and what are the problems that are out there, and where are we today as a business and where do we want to go. And, it's not that you're disrupting the industry to be disrupting, but it's just that you're willing to lead, as the tip of the spear on solving these big problems. So talk to me a little bit about that process that you go through in solving these problems.
Yeah. So a lot of it is just, well, first of all, figuring out what the problem is, right? And you see a lot of times, and I see this a lot in like more like the transportation space. You get these companies from out west that are in the software valley, and they're like, oh, we got a product, we built a product to solve a problem. Well, they're not in the industry. They don't even understand what the problem is. And the product doesn't really solve the problem. Right. So I tend to gravitate more towards the other end. Like, okay, I'm not a software guy. Like I'm a truck repair guy, right? Trying to figure out how to be a software company, not the other way around. So I know where the problems are because I spent 10 years dealing with it. And I spent a lot of time talking to customers. I still spend a lot of time on Facebook groups, just listening to drivers, technicians, just complaining about what problems they have. And it's amazing when you actually listen to customers through surveys, net promoter scores, all the things, right? You start to really get focused in on, okay, these are the things that have the problem. I think one of the mistakes I made was I'm an entrepreneur, so we started too many projects at once, and none of them got done. And anyone that's been in a growing company has probably gone through this, right? Especially when you have an owner that's like, no, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's go do that, and all of a sudden it's chaos, right? So I had to kind of restrain myself the last year and a half, 2 years. Like, okay, no more new things. Let's go execute on the things we have. But it really comes down to that, and I a lot of times customers don't even know what they need, and it's hard to ask them, like, what could I build you? And it goes through a process to figure that out. But I can tell you, I'm more on the mindset when we do have a product, it doesn't need to be like perfectly polished up and ready for prime time. I'm like, look, it may look ugly, it does a thing, get it out there, and let's just start figuring out, get the data back, talk to customers, let's figure out what's going on with this thing, and if it's a good product or not. And we're still not even talking revenue or money at this point. We're still talking just get the product out there and see what the market says about it, and we'll figure it out later. So maybe we go backwards, maybe we're doing it the right way. I don't know. Who knows, right? I know it works for me, so I keep going through that process. And I think what you might have been referring to, what you saw on LinkedIn, that was an executive retreat we did. And where we need to get as a company is stop worrying about 2023, stop worrying about 2024. Let's worry about 2028, 2029. Let's put that bogey, let's go plant that flag, and we'll figure out where we know we're at today. We know where we want to get to. We'll backfill that thing and get it there. And that was a 2-day offsite, not talking about anything in the next 18 months. It was talking about where we want to get to in the next 5 years and what are the goals of the company and how do we line up things and where do we put resources and how do we have to modify financials to do like all the things that happen when you start having those conversations. And as a company, unless you can know where you're going, you can't make the right decisions today. So for an example, if I said, hey, I'm going to own this company the next 30 years, I'm probably not giving out phantom shares or stock options to employees. I'm just keeping them all and trying to figure out how to get my 2 sons involved in the company. If I'm saying I'm going to sell this thing in 5 years, now I'm giving out options and we're doing we're focused on something completely different and maximizing company valuation and doing things to drive towards that. And then you hire different people and you focus on different products. So I'll go back to my dad's company. They've been worried about the day-to-day for so long, and that's worked fine for 3 generations. Now, all of a sudden, they got to worry about the future, and it's just something completely they've never had to deal with before. They've never had to work through those things before. It's a completely new thing to them. So I encourage anyone that runs a business, think really long and hard on where you want to be and where you're trying to get to, and then work backwards. Otherwise, you're making a lot of wrong decisions today, even on the hiring front.
That's really good. You've kind of went down this path, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about it. It's really around focus and customer focus, and how you stay in that lane. Given your problem solving and the way that you guys go about business, how do you keep from veering? Like, is it just constant conversation? Is it, what is it that you guys are doing to stay in those
Yeah.
lanes?
So I can tell you it was an expensive lesson. Right? This is a
Fair.
seven
Thank
figure
you.
lesson easy for me, if not more.
Seven-figure lesson. Like I can see that
At
being the
least,
title of
right?
this.
And that's what I was alluding to earlier is I was an entrepreneur. Hey, we're making money, let's go do more. Like, I want to go faster, let's go hire more people. And all of a sudden, for example, like our software development division, all of a sudden you got 50 people over there and so many projects. Like, it was literally like rows in a spreadsheet of projects. Like, you couldn't even keep track of them. It was ridiculous. And then you got to hire not just developers, quality assistant, quality assurance people, and scrum masters, and all the things. And what happened is nothing was getting done, like zero. Things that should take a month were like 6 months behind. And there was just mass confusion everywhere. It was a lack of planning, it was a lack of leadership, it was a lack of structure. And we had to make like a really crappy decision. I had to say, like, look, I screwed up here. I can't afford to keep doing this and not having projects go. And we tried some things, but eventually it came down to like, hey, we got to do a reduction in force, and we gotta cut a bunch here, because my only solution to fix this problem now is to do way less projects and focus on maybe 2 or 3, not 50 or 75. And we're going to pick those ones. And unfortunately, that means we're going to have to let a lot of people go. So we did a reduction in workforce 4 months ago. And that's what it stemmed from, was just our inability to execute. And it was literally like throwing money down the toilet. And when
Yeah.
you start going back in time and adding up how much you spent just on labor, not on other servers and license, like all the other things, it was 7 figures easy. And I was just like, okay, lesson I learned here is I got to have the right people, the right leaders, the right processes. I got to get really good at being small. And once that's going well, then we can go. And I can again
Yeah.
say, like, 4 months later, they're knocking out more projects now than they ever have, with a third of the
Yeah.
staff that we used to have before. And everyone's laser
That's
focused.
incredible.
It's amazing how different it is with less people.
Okay, I got to ask a question here. I've been around the industry for over 2 decades, and you are being very transparent. That is very against the norms for the dirt world. It feels like to me like the older companies, the older generations, like they don't talk about any lessons learned. There's no business communication. It's like all you see is the highlight reels on their websites or in social media, and everything is perfect. So what is it about you and your business and what you're building that you're willing, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, to be so transparent and talk about these lessons learned? I'm just absolutely fascinated by how you're embracing
Yeah, I
that.
think it's a couple things, right? One, I've worked for companies before where nobody knew what the heck was going on and who was doing what or where we were going, right? It was just closed lip. Like, I punch the clock every day. I show up. I build my widgets. I go home, and it really wasn't fulfilling as an employee. I can tell you. that much. And I also, that company had higher turnover. It had other issues, right? And I think a lot of it's systemic. I mean, it all starts at the top, right? It all starts with culture and how you treat your employees and how you do things. But I made the decision a long time ago. Like, look, I'm not going to pull punches here with people. They're going to know exactly what we're doing and where we're going. I think that's been one of my things I've done forever. Even on LinkedIn, I post plenty of success. I post plenty of failures on there too. But that's how you grow. I mean, that's how you get better. And if employees know what you're doing, they can choose to get on the ship or get off the ship. And I can say that there are a lot of employees that I think if I said, hey, we're going to go march down to hell and battle the devil, they'd be like, let me grab my gear. I'm coming with you. Right. Like, they'll follow us because they believe in our mission and what we're doing over here at Diesel Laptops. And when you have that kind of buy-in from employees, it almost gets like customers start to understand it. And a lot of this comes back to like why you do something as a company. And I think a lot of people don't know why their company exists or why they do things. I try to talk to our employees all the time about the why we do things. And to do that, you have to be transparent. You have to explain to people, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm doing. And for me, I feel really fortunate. I mean, at the age of 36, I was able to figure out like why I was put on this earth to do a thing. And a lot of people go their whole lives not knowing why they're there, what they should be doing, or find that passion. So it gets me fired up. It gets employees fired up. The customers understand why we're doing things. Employees do. Like, there's no negative to it. I think people get transparent because they're afraid of showing their cards or people thinking of them in a negative light or whatever it is. But the fact is, every time someone's transparent and honest, it seems like you get way better results than being closed-minded and close to the chest with your cards that you got.
100%. You've talked about your why. You've talked a little bit about mission, vision, and values. It seems like a lot of times those are just on a wall somewhere. It sounds like at your organization, they really drive your thinking, they drive your decisions, they drive your behavior, and that it's the guide, for your people in your organization as well. Would you say that from a cultural standpoint that everybody knows what the mission, vision, and values are, and that's what's leading them on a daily basis?
Yeah, I would say it's a fair statement. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say 100% of the employees, right? They don't all
Sure.
buy in. Like, for example,
Yeah.
we do like a company video every month, right? And you can see the number of views on YouTube and the number of employees you have, and it doesn't always match. So some employees just choose not to engage. That's on them.
Sure.
That's fine. But yeah, I think for the most part they do. And I it's funny. I look back in those early days, like in my garage in the first rental place we had, when I didn't know anything, and I would literally hire anyone that had a pulse that would walk through the door just to get bodies in there to do things. And it's actually amazing now how many of those employees are still here 5 years later. Like, I'm like, I still tell them, like, I can't believe you quit your job with benefits to work for some guy out of his garage and his dining room table with no benefits, but thank you for doing that. And they're like, hey, we believed in you, we knew you, we wanted to be part of this thing. And, I like to say we take care of those employees as well as we possibly can. And I think a lot of it just comes down to people want to have purpose in their job. And if they have purpose, they tend to be a lot more happy at work, a lot more productive at work. You have less turnover and your company's more successful.
Yeah.
It goes back to just treat people the way you want to get treated. Like that's how I do it. And if there's something they don't like about me, at least they know and they can make a decision.
So are there certain attributes or characteristics that you look for when you're hiring team members?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone can say they do, right? Like, I think I'll give an example of what we try to do more now with the manager level. So first of all, we always try to promote from within. If people show ambition and they have the right attitude and all the intangible stuff, yeah, let's give that person a shot, because it gets really hard hiring people you don't know, and you get them in here and you don't even know who they are. You don't know their personality for 6 months, or at least I don't. I'm horrible at understanding who someone is. It takes me 6 or 12 months to really understand them and what makes them tick and what they're trying to do here. So at the manager level, I definitely try to dive deeper into like, okay, your resume said you did this. How did you do it? And why did you do it? And a lot of times it's like, well, I did it because I was told to do it by blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for someone that actually not only found a problem. I get people tell me problems all day long. I need people that can give me solutions to problems, because I can't be the only guy here doing that. I need solution solvers and people that can take a solution and go execute on it. So I can say that was one of the big things when we built our first ever C-suite this year was I got to get people in here that can find problems and give me solutions, go execute. And that's really freaking tough to do. And you got to put a lot of trust into people that have a lot of authority, both culturally, financially, and with employees to go execute. And that's one of the hardest things for me as an owner, and I know for most owners, is like, give up control, give it over to somebody else and let them run with the football. But honestly, since we've done that, I mean, the company's had record revenue and record profit. So I think the results over here speak for themselves.
So I maybe too broad of a question, but I listen to mission, vision, values, your priorities, your leadership philosophies, problem solution, all these great things that you guys are doing. Even though there's it's hard to find diesel techs, as you've indicated, like, do you have a problem finding people to come work for you? Because I would think that you would have a better chance of hiring, based on all of the things that you're doing. And so as we start thinking about how do you attract and reach and hire this next generation, it sounds like you're doing a lot of the things right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a role where like, man, we just can't find them. I mean, I don't even work on trucks, our company, and I employ probably 30 diesel technicians, 35, maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
And they're not turning wrenches anymore, right? So now repair shops have to compete against me. And I'm like, oh, they're trainers, they're subject matter experts, they're working in my call center from home, and they're making great money and not having to deal with the wear and tear that sometimes can happen. So I don't think we have a problem. I mean, I get people sending me resumes all the time on LinkedIn, just randomly, or emails like, I want to come work for you, here's my resume. So it's not been an issue unless it's something super technical. Like, we need someone that's done vehicle reverse engineering before and knows C sharp, right? Like, that's a really specific thing that we got to go find. And I think we're trying to be a little more strategic now, and we're really trying to take our time finding the right person inside our company, or to come inside our company when we can't promote within. But whenever we can, we try to promote. So many good stories over here of people that, I mean, Riley, he's my director of operations. That kid was making pizzas and subs when he started working for me in my garage, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and now he knows more here than anybody else, what's going on in the company on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of great stories here. My executive assistant, she's now running one of our sales divisions. So there's people across the company that just needed a little bit of opportunity, and holy cow, you give them opportunity and then you see them run with it, and you're like, I had no idea the person was capable of this. And I think that's true in most companies. There's a lot of people sitting around that people have no idea how much opportunity or potential they have. They just don't have that opportunity given to them.
Yeah. One thing I talk about often is the dirt world is a big industry. What we need to do is just get more people coming into it, and then start and figure out where you want to go. You can go into the tech side. You can, I mean, there's a whole business. So there's HR and there's IT and there's marketing and there's all these things from a business standpoint. Then you've got all the different verticals of asphalt and concrete, roads and bridges, or technology, or whatever it is that you want to do. It's such a big industry that you can navigate your way, and or such a relationship driven industry that you start to meet people and know people, and you figure out your skill sets and what you like and what you're good at. And it's fun when you can watch those people come in and start to figure out what they're really good at.
It reminds me a lot of truck dealerships. So truck dealerships, a lot of different roles, a lot of different departments in these commercial truck dealerships. And if you work in a commercial truck dealership and you have any ambition and skill and success at all, you can go get a job in any city in the country within the week, because every single truck dealership is looking for good, talented people that understand that space and can go execute. And it sounds like it's similar in your space as well. Like, there's just such a shortage of talent, future leaders, the need for all the things that are coming down the pipeline, how fast technology is changing, infrastructure growth, all the things. So very similar parallels with what you guys are doing and what we're doing over here at Diesel.
Yeah. So I got one other kind of business question for you, and we'll start to get into the kind of the wrap up. The one thing I haven't covered is like your market, like where you serve, what those products and services are, how people do business with you. Anything that you could share for our listeners that, man, I like this person. It sounds like they solve my problems, but I don't really know where they're at or what to do or what my first step is. So let's just really quickly cover that.
Yeah. I mean, usually where it steps for customers is like, I own equipment or I work on equipment and I want to be able to work on all makes, all models. So I think everyone listening to this knows you can go to Amazon, AutoZone, Walmart, and buy like a little code tool and hook up and do stuff on every make model. And in the commercial truck world, it was really about 6 or 7 years ago, people learned like, oh, wait, I can buy one piece of software and work on every commercial truck. That's groundbreaking. And where we're at today with off-highway is people still think, well, it's a John Deere. Only John Deere dealers have the software. Oh, it's a Caterpillar. Only Cat can do it. And it's not true. So we have a diagnostic tool that will hook up to every single make, model, off-highway piece of equipment. One piece of software, one piece of hardware, looks the same no matter what you're connected to. And you can do like 95% of what the dealerships can do. And we're the only company on the planet that really understands that space, because we wrap that repair information, the tech support, and the training around it and come back to customers with solutions. So that's really the core bread and butter. And a lot of those conversations are talking to customers to find out, like, well, do you need a $10,000 option or the $300 option? Like, let's go right fit your company for the right products that you're doing. And once you do that, that's like step one, right? Is that step two is usually like, well, now I want to get my guys trained. Well, great. Because you're a customer, you can come to any of our training facilities across the United States free as much as you want. And you can do as much free online diesel technician training as well. That's what you get with Diesel laptops. So customers get that with our product, or they can buy that on their own if they have a competitor's product. And then usually like step three is once companies really start to get into this, they start asking about data. And this is where the big companies are really starting to figure it out. Is, okay, I own 1,000 pieces of machinery or 2,000 pieces or 500. I want to know what fault codes are the most popular things that I'm working on. Well, why would I want to know that? Well, because that code happens 50 times a year, and now I got 50 unique experiences that happen trying to repair that thing. But if I know it's going to happen 50 times, I can make one document that tells me exact part number I need, how long it should take, the wiring diagram, the step-by-step directions to fix it. Now I just cut down my repair time amazingly, way less than I did before. So you start to use data, you can do a lot of things. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg. We have one customer, they got well over, thousands of units. And they are constantly mining their own data to figure out, well, which equipment fails more often than other equipment? Because now we're going to use that in purchasing decisions and beat up our vendors for pricing. And we're going to do training on these things. Like, you can just use that data to make your company even more efficient at what you're already doing. And there's very few companies at that level yet, but there's more and more all the time. And those are the ones where it's really exciting to see these guys really dive into essentially vehicle and equipment repair data, which is crazy, but that's the way the world's at today.
Man, that's absolutely fantastic. Just been an incredible conversation. Love what you're doing at Diesel Laptops. Can't thank you enough for joining us on the Dirt World podcast. Super grateful for your support at the Area Dirt World Summit and all the things that you're doing to make the dirt world a better place, which is our mission. People can find Diesel Laptops at diesellaptops.com. And as Tyler was indicating earlier, they're on all the social platforms, so you can find them just about anywhere and everywhere. To learn more about BuildWit, you can visit buildwit.com. And I just want to say to all the listeners out there, thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep leading in the dirt world, building people, projects, and communities. Tyler, thank you so much, man. That was incredible.
No problem. Thank you. And by the way, we're super excited to be part of that sponsorship with the summit as well. I'll be there. I know we had a booth there. We'll have some employees there. We plan to partake in a lot of the things going on. So we're looking forward to it.
It's going to be incredible. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.